Welcome back to Liz and Sandro's Marketing Podcast. We're the podcast that helps your small business grow through social media, SEO, web design, email marketing, and so much more. Today, Liz is going to share with us the steps she takes after launching a client's new website.
That's right. Your website isn't complete when it launches. Of course, your website is never done because you're always going to be tweaking it, modifying it, driving traffic to it. We've talked about the steps to take, some immediate steps to take after your site launches in a previous episode. We'll link that in the show notes. But those are more just generally promotional in nature, start blogging, things like that, driving traffic from social. The steps I want to talk about today are a little more technical in nature. And if you are a marketing agency or a consultant, you're definitely going to want to make sure these steps are part of your post-launch checklist. So about a month after a site launches, I think it's really important to check in with the client and give them an update on just how things are going. This reassures myself that everything was in fact set up correctly, and it reassures the client that everything is working as it should. I like to check in with Google Analytics, Google Console, and Google My Business, or GMB. We have a couple episodes on GMB, which we will link those in the show notes as well, because that is so important. And we know that even though we constantly remind everybody to check these consistently, and let's be honest, a month into this, there's a good chance the client has not looked at these at all. So I like to check in, give them an update, remind them about some really important features that they're going to want to pay attention to on a consistent basis. In terms of Google Analytics, I like to check in on site speed, see what kind of mobile traffic we're generating, and if there's any really high performing content or pages, right out the gate. I like to take a look at that. The next thing I like to do is jump over to the Moz Pro Campaign. We set up a Moz Pro Campaign for every website that we're building. It's great for the keyword research, and there's just so many benefits, especially if they're going to be an ongoing client, which I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, jump back over to the Moz Pro Campaign, and there's a couple key things that I look for. First would be to make sure that the crawl report comes back clean. Depending on the client and the website, the one that I'll use as an example, an attorney website that we just launched and just did this follow-up process for, their website was a mess, and when I initially put it into Moz Pro and the crawl came back, I was like, oh my God, not good. But I knew we were going to be launching the site very quickly. We had a tight timeline for that site. So with this post-launch report that I provided, I could see that the crawl report was clean. I think there was maybe just one issue, but we had one title tag that was a character too long, so I'm not going to stress about that. So the crawl report is really important. I like to check in on search visibility and domain authority. Again, with this particular attorney website, not a huge jump. I think her domain authority went from maybe 8 to 14, not huge, but I like to report on that and let them know that we are moving in the right direction, because that's important. I also like to check in on keyword rankings. And again, in this particular case with the attorney, I could see that we were starting to rank on the first page for some key phrases. I think those ones were branded, so that's to be expected. But then there were some other phrases where they were on the second and fourth page, which is a step in the right direction. That's where you get in there and start blogging and building links and working those keywords and focusing on building authority with a couple key pages. So that was great to see. I could also see traffic from, that was actually pulled from Google Analytics, but it's nice to have that in Moz all in one spot. If you're not familiar with the Pro version, one of the things that I really do like are the reports that you can customize. Now, they're not 100% customizable. You can basically drag and drop modules, and the modules are set. So sometimes there's things that I don't want to include, but it's built into the specific module, but that's fine. All in all, I do think the reports are pretty nice. They're very visual. I can, like I said, just kind of drag and drop the modules I want, generate a PDF. You can schedule these reports to be ongoing if you want. But in this case, I'm just sending a one-off report to the client to highlight a few key things, areas of opportunity. This is a great opportunity to suggest next steps if you want to continue working with the client. I love to personally use websites as a way to vet a client. If the project goes well, if we have a good working relationship, I'm definitely going to be following up and suggesting, hey, we can help you with ongoing SEO, with blogging, with social, ad campaigns, things like that. If it was a challenging relationship, I might send the report and just kind of, gracefully send them on their way. So it just kind of depends. But I have done 2 of these follow-up reports just in the last week to follow up with clients and reassure them that everything is working as it should. Actually, in one case, we did find a little issue with one website that needed to be addressed. And I'm a big believer in making sure a client is happy and within that first month of a site launched, I want to make sure everything is working as it should. So these are, again, the steps that I take, some of the technical steps I take after a site is launched, just to make sure everything is working as it should, addressing anything that maybe slipped through the cracks and opening the door for future work with a client, if we want to continue to partner with them. So there you have it.
Great insight, Liz. Thank you. Sometimes I don't know that all clients know all the work we do behind the scenes, like
There's
submitting
so much work.
Site maps to Google Search Console and all those, all the things you mentioned, of course.
Yeah. I feel like the launch phase of our process is mile 18 of the marathon. We're so close. Everything looks great, but there are so many final steps that have to happen that the client doesn't even realize. And I do as good of a job as I can to let them know, here's what we're doing. We're testing forms. We're doing Google Console setup. We're setting up the SSL certificate. Like all of these things that need to happen that are just, they go right over the client's head. So
Liz works hard for her clients. That will wrap it up for this episode. Thank you for joining us. You will find us where you find your favorite podcasts, including now Spotify. We are on Spotify. Yay. It took some time, but they accepted us. We're on there, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. If you like what you hear, we'd love a review. If you have any questions, shoot them our way on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or our email address. We'll give you a shout out and a link to your site. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you next time.